Hello, my name is John Peck, and I graduated from Carey High School in 1982. My parents are Ronald and Wanda Peck, and we lived 7 miles out of town towards Fish Creek, on the Fish Creek side, in the same place that my mother still lives today. Some of the memories I have from high school, definitely liked playing football, enjoyed doing that. When I was a freshman, there was only 14 people on the team. Those seniors were really big. I wanted to quit. I didn't want to continue with that. And my dad said that we weren't quitters. We weren't going to quit something that we started. And if we start something, we have a commitment to fulfill it and go all the way through it. And so I did, and we made it through. But I did like football. We had a lot of good times in football. I liked being in the plays, directed with Mr. Meekum. One other thing that I enjoyed was Mr. Meekum would produce a movie, and we would go out. We went up Wood River and had horses and guns, and it was a Western movie, and we'd do that on a Saturday and some after school time, I think. Anyway, that was kind of fun. I enjoyed being in the movies that they produced. I think I was in 2 of them, I think. Pretty good time. I don't know if I had a favorite teacher. I guess I should say that my dad was my favorite teacher. He taught music, so he was band and choir, and then also in the library. Along with Dad, we had a lot of good teachers. Mr. Jolly, Tingy, Mr. Meekum, Mr. Kirkland, Mr. Ray, Mr. Scott Peck, Mrs. Gilbert, the secretary in the office. I like to sign up to be an office aide and spend a lot of time with her in the office. She was always very nice. Had a lot of good teachers at Carey School, and I think that's one of the benefits of Carey School is the teachers and the quality of teachers that we have there. Really good teachers. Well, mostly who I ran around with in high school was Rick Stewart. We did a lot of stuff together. I ran around with Frank Conrad a little. But we lived 7 miles out of town, and so it was a journey to get to town to do stuff. Later, I bought a motorcycle, so I had my own wheels where I could come to town and stuff, but that's pretty much who I ran around with. And really what we did for fun outside of school time was my dad had 160 acres and about 100 head of beef cows, and so pretty much what we did outside of school time was try to take care of that. You know, every night after school, if we didn't have practice, we helped feed the cows. During the summer, we helped put the hay up and the barley and whatever else, you know. I mean, there was always fencing to be done. Dad ran his cows up Little Fish Creek, so there was always stuff to do. There was never a shortage of things to do. I can remember feeding calves. We'd have calves that didn't work out with their mom or whatever it was, and we'd have calves that we had to feed when Dad would milk the cow. He milked the cow morning and night. I got to do that a couple of times. I'm not sure whether it was worse on the cow or me, but that was but Dad milked that cow morning and night, so we had milk and cream. Well, when I left high school, I always thought that I wanted to own my own business, something like that. I definitely didn't have being a teacher or a principal at a school in my sights at that time. But that's what I ended up doing. I taught 3 years in Chalice, business ed, and then the position came open at Wood River, and I taught at Wood River for 4 years, also business ed, and then I was the assistant principal at Wood River for 3 years, where I was in charge of attendance and discipline, and then the opportunity came available at Carey. Mrs. Cordell resigned that position, and so then I applied for that and was hired, and have been at Carey School ever since for the past 20 years. Let's see, so my journey to this point in my life After graduated, I went to Rick's College for a year, and Dad thought it was important to have a goal or a major, and not just to go to school to be going to school, so I went into welding. Brother Sonderegger and Brother Burton were the two that were kind of in charge of that, and we learned how to weld horizontal and vertical and overhead with 7018 and 1610 welding rods, and that was a lot different than it is now too. That was a long time ago. After I went over there for a year, I went on an LDS mission, the Portland, Oregon mission, and that was 18 months. I was in that group that the missions were 18 months, and then they changed it back to 2 years later. After my mission, I went to CSI. I was on the 3-year program at CSI, but my brother-in-law, Steve Schuyler, was involved in student government at CSI, and so when I went there, he said, you might as well get involved in that. It's a pretty good scholarship. It works pretty well, and so I did, and then I was student body president at CSI for 2 years. While I was at CSI, I met Heidi. She was playing volleyball at CSI, and then she coached for 2 years with Ben Stroud after she used up her eligibility to play. I must have got her at a weak moment. She said she would marry me, so we got married while we were at CSI. I was working for Rob Peck, and then trying to figure out what to do, and UNLV down in Las Vegas was inexpensive university, and so we decided we'd go down there. Todd Wesche, who graduated from Carey School, was moving down there and with his company to deliver Pacific Bay bread, and so we moved to Las Vegas, and then I delivered bread with Todd to the Smith Food King stores in Las Vegas. I think there were 5 of them. And while I was there, Keith Boehm, who also graduated from Carey School, was working there, and he was working for Mission Linen. He was a supervisor there, and they were starting a new route. And he contacted me and wondered if I would apply for that, and so I did. And so I worked for Mission Linen and delivered shirts and pants and rugs every day. I went to the Riviera Hotel every day but Tuesdays, and just delivered shirts and pants and then sold. And we thought we were making pretty good money until we started looking into housing market and what it cost to buy a house, and just the big city aspect, and we decided that we weren't really interested in that. Whitney was a year old, and we decided we weren't really cut out for that city life for the rest of our lives, and so we moved back to Carey, and I went to work for Ward's Cheese. Alfred Whitby, who also graduated from Carey High School, was the supervisor there, and I got a job there drying whey. There was a protein side and the lactose side. Anyway, we would dry that whey and then ship it out to be sold, I guess. And my shift was from 11 o'clock at night until 9:30 in the morning, and that was a motivation to go back to school. So I went to the ISU Center in Twin Falls and took my transcripts and gave them to the lady and asked her what I was closest to being able to teach, to be a school teacher. And she said, "Boy, that is not the best way to pick a career." Anyway, I'd taken a lot of business classes at CSI. I was course certified. So then I went to ISU for a year and a summer and had my degree to teach business. It was single subject business. And so we were selling fireworks out of my dad's horse trailer in the middle of town, and there was an opening in Chalice. So I called the principal up there, who was Joe Hendrickson, who's also a Carey School. He used to live in Carey, and he was the principal at Chalice High School. And so I applied for that job. It was like 2 weeks before school started, and so we jumped right into it and coached football and taught business classes. And I was there for 3 years, and they had just started a Business Professionals of America club, and so we continued with that and had great kids, and we're really pretty blessed in that area because we got to go to nationals with students for BPA every year that I taught. So those 3 years in Chalice, and then I taught for 4 years at Wood River. That job came available, and I came over, and that was quite a story to get that interview and to get that job. And when we were all done, he says, "Oh, and by the way, yearbook comes with this." And I was like, "Okay, we'll do whatever we need to do." And I'd never ran an Apple computer, and I'd never used PageMaker software, and never been on a yearbook staff, but we had to produce a book. Funny story. The very first day in yearbook, I was giving them the spill and telling them all about it and all the pages, and they had to pick pages and which ones they were going to do, and we needed to get on it because we had our first deadline coming up. And after it was over, this girl came up to me and she said, "Mr. Peck, you don't have a clue about this, do you?" And I said, "Nope, I don't, but we're going to have a book, and we're going to have to get on it." So we did, and I don't know, we did that. I did that for 4 years too. And then every year at Wood River High School, we got to go to nationals because we had students qualify for nationals, and Tim Neville did a great job in speech and debate, and those kids fit right into BPA really well, and it turned out it was just very good. I loved those years of teaching. I had a great time with the students and learning real world applications, and I just really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed the students and the relationships that you could build with students. And then assistant principal job came available at Wood River, and so I applied for that and was hired as the assistant principal, and I was in charge of attendance and discipline at Wood River. And then after 3 years of that, the job opened in Carey, and so I applied for that job as the principal at Carey School, and I've been there for 20 years, and I just recently retired from that position. I think 20 years was probably enough for me, and probably enough for the school, and those were really good times. To do that 20 years, being the principal at Carey School was much more than just a job to me. We worked to make it better and wanted it to be the best place possible for all kids and for everybody to get a good education there. I retired June 30th. I can't hardly believe that I'm to this point in my life where that's an option. But now I guess I have my own business. Heidi and I have a business where I make cornhole boards. I enjoy working out in the garage and putting those together, and then the different designs on them. And Heidi makes cornhole bags. We work on that, and it's really turned out to be a lot of fun. And I guess we'll do that, and as long as that works out, and then we'll find something else to do. One thing that really inspires me at school was to watch the kids succeed and watch them to be able to accomplish things that possibly they didn't think that they could accomplish. Those BPA competitions were great because the kids just were able to show their skills and their business sense and do really, really well. And that was with all the big schools too. All schools are together. Another thing that inspires me to be a better person is my own children, and watching them, they turned out to be great kids and doing good things, and that's inspiring. Definitely another thing that inspires me is my wife and her goodness and her support. I don't think I could have made it through the years, the ups and downs and all this stuff. I don't think I could make it without her. All the goodies and meals and all the last minute asks. She's always been very supportive in running on the ambulance service, and just her example. Anybody calls anytime and needs something checked out or somebody looked at or whatever, she's more than willing to do that. And she gives a lot of service, and that definitely inspires me. Let's see, the question is, do you think you were prepared when you left Carey School? And I think I was probably prepared. I didn't know for what. I definitely could have prepared better, could have paid more attention in school and done more work in high school. But I was ready for the next step, kind of. When I went over to Rick's, there were probably more girls in our apartment the first night that I was there than live in Carey. Three of my roommates played football, and one of them was a wrestler, and the football players had been there for 2 weeks before all the other students showed up, and so they were all pretty outgoing, and they'd invited a bunch of girls over, and there was a lot of them there, and just good wholesome fun. Then they divided us all up, and we walked girls home that night, and that was a completely new experience for me too. Anyway, it was good times. I think something that I've learned from going through difficult times is to create a network of good friends. Surround yourself with good people. We had some difficult times at Carey School. Every family has had some difficult times, but in those difficult times, I think it's important to have friends that you can rely on, friends that you can lean on to make it through those times. And that was one of the best things about working at Carey School, Wood River or Chalice, is being surrounded by really good people that are very interested in helping students be better, people that are really interested in watching out for the welfare of students, and those are the kind of people that you need in your life to help you be successful, to help you when you have rough times, to get through those times. My advice that I would have for Carey School students is to, by all means, take advantage of the opportunity you have at Carey School, because Carey School has a lot of offerings. There's a lot of things that other small schools don't have. And I think too often students don't take full advantage of what's offered there at Carey School. So that'd be my advice, is jump in and take all the classes you can, and don't be afraid to take hard classes. Teachers are there to help you, and they'll help you. Take advantage of what's offered there so that you're ready for your next step, whatever your next step is, that you're ready for that next step. The other advice I would have is always give more than you take. In your relationships, in your classes, with your parents, in every aspect of your life, give more than you take. Let's see, when I think back over the years and what I'm most proud of, definitely my family, definitely my children and my better half, Heidi. That's what I'm most proud of, is those kids and now their kids, the grandkids. Whitney and Tyler live in Layton. Tyler works at Traeger's corporate headquarters in Salt Lake in the finance department. Brad is living in North Carolina, and he works at the Fayetteville Hospital. He's doing his residency there now. Blair works for PwC in Salt Lake as an accountant, and Chris works for Deloitte over in Boise as an accountant. Definitely proud of them. And I'm proud of being a part of Carey School's history, to have that opportunity to work there. Those were good years, and I think we provided a very, very good education for most all of the students. And I'm proud to be a part of that history of Carey School. It's kind of, I don't know why I started buying rings when the kids would win championships, but I have 8 state championship rings over the 20 years that I was at Carey School, for football and and basketball. Volleyball made it to state a few times. We didn't quite get a ring. But those rings are kind of fun and bring back a lot of good memories with the coaches and the players and the games and just all of that stuff. It's just a lot of things to be proud of, a lot of great opportunities that we had there. I'm John Peck, and I graduated from Carey High School. And as I was doing these Points of Pride videos, as I would ask people to do them, they would say, when are you going to do one on yourself? And so I always told them that I would do one after I retired. And I guess now I'm at that point, so here I am trying to do this with myself.